How could one play change the entire NFL? In 2014, Dez Bryant's controversial no catch reignited a debate that shook the league. How did the single moment lead to a complete overhaul of NFL rules? This is an in-depth analysis of the story of the no catch call, the events that led up to it, the catch itself, and how it shook up the league after. Before we get into the controversy of the catch, we have to rewind a bit for context, specifically to the 1999 NFC title game. The birth of Did He Catch It controversies. Bert Emanuel, receiver for the Tampa Bay Bucks, were playing the Rams in the NFC title game. After what looked like a catch, and the side judge actually ruling it a catch, a timeout was called and the players regrouped. But while on the sideline, strategizing what play to draw up, the ref came over and told them that the last play was about to be reviewed. The call was overturned and the Bucks would end up losing the game. As Emanuel went to the ground, the ball made contact with the turf, but it didn't appear like he lost control. But this is what the ref said after the game. It was apparent that the player, as he was catching the ball, he used the ground and the tip of the ball hit the ground. By rule, you cannot use the ground or have assistance from the ground to make a catch. The NFL's competition committee did make changes to the rule in 2000, so it remained a catch if a player maintained control, even if the ball actually touched the ground. And for a while, Bert Emanuel's catch was a rare case that showed the problem with the catch rule. That was until 2010. Down 5 points with 30 seconds left against the Bears, Lions receiver Calvin Johnson grabbed the ball, got his feet down, then lost the ball when his right hand hit the ground, and it was ruled incomplete. If you want to adhere to the strictest letter of the NFL law, then you have a case for it being incomplete. But here's the thing, it's not specified how long a player must maintain control after touching the ground, and that leaves the rule completely open for interpretation. This is the part of the rule that led officials to rule it incomplete. It states if a player goes down to the ground in the act of catching a pass, with or without contact by an opponent, he must maintain control of the ball after he touches the ground. And from this point onwards, it would feel like a recurring problem in the league, leading up to the Dez catch and even after. Aside from whether deciding these plays are catches, it's also the lack of clarity as to what a catch actually is. So there the Cowboys were, facing the Packers in the NFC divisional game. Trailing by 5 with 4 minutes and 42 seconds to play, the Cowboys faced a 4th and 2 on Green Bay's 32-yard line. Gun empty right Java right 929 F post H flat. That was the name of the play. God, I love football. Nothing complicated despite the name. It called for Dez Bryant to run a go route. He was being covered by cornerback Sam Shields. Tony Romo sends it deep and Dez Bryant comes down with it. The play is ruled completed, putting the Cowboys at the 1-yard line. But then Packers coach Mike McCarthy threw the challenge flag. The Cowboys weren't worried though. Bryant stood patiently on the sideline, expecting to line up at the 1 at any moment. All I know is I had possession. I had possession of the ball coming down, Bryant said. That's possession, right? 1, 2 feet, reach, that's possession. But after review, referee Gene Steratore and crew decided that Bryant did not maintain possession through to the ground and the play was overturned. The Packers got the ball back and the Cowboys wouldn't touch the ball again. The play itself took about 7 seconds, the deliberation about 4 minutes, but the controversy remains to this day. Although by now I think we're in agreement, Dez caught it. So what was the actual justification of this call? Well, Gene Steratore said following the game, although the receiver is possessing the football, he must maintain possession of that football throughout the entire process of the catch. At the time he lands and the ball hits the ground, it comes loose as it hits the ground, which would make that incomplete. But what was the rule at the time? Well, it's in Rule 8, Section 1, Article 3, Addendum Items 1 and 4. Item 1 states, if a player goes to the ground in the act of catching a pass, he must maintain control of the ball throughout the process of contacting the ground, whether in the field of play or the end zone. And Item 4 says, if the ball touches the ground after the player secures control of it, it is a catch, provided the player continues to maintain control. I mean, yes, we can see the ball move a bit when he's in the process of catching, but from the original controversial call in 1999, as long as the player maintains control of the ball, it can touch the ground. So it doesn't seem right. Gene Steratore would also say, I had a falling receiver who reached as he fell, and the ball disengaged from his possession, and the ground caused that. And the rule, as written on the time and on that day, said the receiver has to survive the ground. But the thing is, the rule was totally unclear, still, despite many changes. And here's the thing, the same play happened with Dez Bryant against the Giants in Week 7 that year, except that play was ruled a catch. So let's take a look at it. The play is ruled complete, despite it not being actually a touchdown. He takes 3 steps and lunges for the end zone. The ball comes out well after the catch was complete. Against the Packers, it was almost identical, right? 3 steps, he hits the ground. But that wasn't a catch. Again, the uncertainty as to what a catch was couldn't be more evident. A couple months after the game, the NFL tweaked the rules a bit. They removed the words football move, and the new rule stated, in order to complete a catch, a receiver must clearly become a runner. He does that by gaining control of the ball, touching both feet down, and then, after the second foot is down, having the ball long enough to clearly become a runner. If, before becoming a runner, a receiver falls to the ground in an attempt to make a catch, he must maintain control of the ball after contacting the ground. I don't think this made things any clearer though, and and evidently it didn't because there were more confusing calls following this play. Here's one example. Tyler Eifert caught the pass, had 2 feet down, and was turned upfield to establish himself as a runner. It couldn't be clearer that the ball crosses the plane, but the officials ruled the catch incomplete. Then you had the Jesse James catch during the Steelers and Patriots game in 2017. James caught a ball while falling into the end zone. It was initially ruled a touchdown, but then they said he didn't survive the ground, so it was overturned.
What's a catch anymore? We don't know.
So confusion would remain until the NFL would get their you-know-what together. After the 2017 season, the NFL announced it would look to change the catch rule. The NFL Competition Committee began working on changing the rule to relax the going to the ground requirement. It took 3 years for the NFL to confess for their sins, and shortly after that they made a major change to the rule. In March 2018, the rule was officially changed to remove the necessity of surviving the ground. Now the rule read, a forward pass is complete if a player who is inbounds secures control of the ball in his hands or arms prior to the ball touching the ground, and performs any act common to the game. Movement of the ball does not automatically result in loss of control. I want to leave this discussion on the topic of uncertainty. Has instant replay created more uncertainty? Because obviously the intended purpose is the opposite. This play was a catch, the NFL admits that, but there have still been plays following the rule change where we ask, was that a catch? And here is the paradox. More knowledge does not necessarily mean more certainty. I'm not going to turn this into a philosophy lesson, but to think we can, without limit, make our knowledge more precise turns out not to be true. But how does this pertain to what a catch is? In days gone by, a catch was simple. Have control of the ball, 2 feet inbound, simple as that. Enter instant replay in 1999. It had a stint from 1986 to 1991, stopped being used and then was brought back by the end of the century. They watched replays at multiple angles and in slow motion, and then emerged with rulings that were more like decrees, but without the certainty that fans expected. In the case of a catch, there is uncertainty because the rules are ambiguous. But if there are plays that are still not 100% if reviewed, can we get 100% certainty? Often yes, but maybe not always. Adam Elgar, a professor at Princeton University, said, uncertainty has nothing to do with how good the video cameras are. It has to do with the concept. So it's not about having better cameras or more angles to see the play better. It's about the fact the rules themselves are unclear. And Bert Emanuel said, when you slow it down and put in instant replay and you try to analyze a catch frame by frame, I think you take something away from its essence. I don't think football was meant to be slowed down and evaluated.
If you'd have had high def today, you'd have broken that thing down to them. And they'd have gone, oh, it looks like his glove is moving. The wonderful thing about the 70s is that it wasn't a perfect game. And I've always said, screw the tape machine. Screw replay. Well, who needs it? Let's have controversy. That's good.
Look, to be clear, I'm not saying instant replay needs to be removed. That's not really the point. But there are questions that arise from its use and where the problem actually lies. But anyway, Dez caught it. Thanks for watching.